let's talk about long COVID. We don't really have, I think, a good handle on exactly what long COVID is yet. We're labeling it as long COVID. Researchers, though, one author specifically over at The Atlantic has been a journalist covering this story from the beginning and looking at like long-term symptoms of COVID-19. And it's not good. And it might be one of those things that is here to stay, so much so that now researchers are saying this morning that we may be in for a mass disability insurance event for long COVID.
Oh, insurance event, but
Right.
also
Personal event. I mean, so
Right.
that you'd be claiming on your like as a permanent, almost just think about people who were on the ground in 9/11.
yes.
You know, and who years later have had respiratory issues and require additional hospitalization as a result of it. And by the way, who've been unable to get insurance claims pushed through because of it.
Yes.
Right. And this could be a massive disability event.
Yes, it could be. And he talks about how scientists really, they study neurological disorders, but they just really don't have a handle on what are the common denominators. He says this is similar to ME/CFS or dysautonomia or other chronic, complex, marginalized conditions. So it's interesting that he's saying this because if you give this a sort of wide umbrella, then a lot of things could fit into it and preclude you from having those charges canceled by your insurance, right? But is it something where it affects all of us? Like, what's the opposite of rising tide floats all boats is like lowering tide lowers all boats.
yeah,
Like we're
sinks all
all
boats.
going to feel crappy.
Right. Well, and I think,
Go ahead.
some of the things that he's specifically talking about were this idea that, permanent taste loss.
Yes.
So permanently losing your taste buds, permanently, not being able to taste food, permanent
Smell,
what's the word I'm looking for?
anxiety,
But also
Well, some people have been having the
tiredness,
permanent
fatigue is the word.
lung thing, the like coughing, like if they breathe in, it's like they want to cough, that feeling.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Like a shortness of breath where you're like, and then when you take that deep breath, you want to cough as a
Yeah.
result of it.
Yes. Yeah, it's terrifying. And we still, I want to remind you, don't have answers on the origins of COVID-19. Many health officials from the United States have asked for participation from China, and China is saying, we don't really want to participate. We are going with our conclusion, and that's it. We're not going to tell you whether it was a lab outbreak. We're not going to give you access to labs. That seems like, given the fact that the West cannot make any movement on China to stop torturing the Uyghurs or lower their carbon emissions goals or anything of the sort, it does not seem like we're going to make much advance asking them to participate in studies about the origins of COVID. In fact, just this morning in the newsletter, we talked about how Russia and China had a nice little lunch meeting over the opening of the Olympics. And those two countries are becoming more ideologically aligned, which doesn't necessarily have to do with COVID in this story, but it is something to keep in mind because it does not seem like we are going to get a straight answer on the origins of COVID.
Well, and it was U.S. backed research, and so the person that they had investigated on our side was a person. I think it was Francis Collins or somebody like that. But there was somebody that was part of the research that was put in charge of investigating it, and he's the one that said nothing to see here. So we won't get an investigation because the United States doesn't want that to come out that they funded that. So,
but the World Health Organization is still trying to get answers and is
a lot of
getting
people are
no
still trying to get
answers.
answers, but
Right.
Yes. But it's like those decisions had to have some kind of U.S. involvement because like those databases just disappeared and all that other stuff, and they're saying that they can't get it, but it was a U.S. person who made that decision.
Ula Hula in our chat says, I just recently started getting my smell back 4 months post-COVID. Funny, the first thing I smelled was my grandson's diaper. Ooh. That'll do it to you. I've heard people actually in the chat saying before, because when I had COVID in August, my smell is still off. Like I know my taste is still slightly off. There were things that I used to love before COVID and just like the smell and the taste of them, and then they're just not the same. I can tell you. And I don't know how long that's going to last. I mean, some people said it's 8 months. Some
Yeah.
people said 9 months. Have you noticed
Well-
any? I mean, you had it. Have you noticed any difference in your smell, taste buds? I mean, you still eat the same taco chili bowl every day for lunch. So
Yes, I do.
Has that changed?
But I have a very sophisticated palate, so,
So-
I had some to lose.
So I invented the word palate.
So
so
I noticed that a lot of times, like I made a pot roast
I have some to
Clayton,
lose, jackass.
I had plenty. Clayton put hot sauce on my pot roast. I was like, that doesn't go.
I
with
feel
that.
like I need hot sauce on everything right
Everything
now.
now,
I'm like,
things that just are not, you don't usually put hot sauce on. It's kind of hurting my feelings, and I wish you would stop it. But
Well,
I guess COVID is an
hey,
okay
I have COVID,
excuse.
so I have long COVID. So can you show me some compassion here?
Well, and from the data that I've heard people talk about is that the spike, since it's synthetic, it stays in your system for about 15 months. So that seems to kind of coordinate with the lack of scent and stuff. But I have a friend who got lost their scent with it, I think a year and a half ago, and that still hasn't come back for them. So, yeah.
Yeah, a mass disability event.
You know, I have noticed also in shopping for insurance policies that the insurers are on this. They already are trying to say like covers especially travel insurance. If you're shopping, I wanted to say shopping and searching, and it came out searching. If you are shopping for travel insurance, a lot of times these policies now are excluding COVID. And so you have to make sure that COVID, or even COVID you didn't know you had, is covered in your policies, because the insurers are definitely not happy about this and having to pay out on these claims for years.
Well, I
even.
mean, how are they going to catalog this? Because as this piece points out, there's more than 200 symptoms related to long COVID. I mean, we see people in our chat right here. I mean, like Derek Morris, thank you for your super chat, says, Clayton, my smell and especially taste over 3 months out still hasn't come back. Yeah, there's a lot of people here saying, like a lot of people who still haven't received or haven't recovered from a lot of this. My sense of smell, Samantha Lynn says, my sense of smell and taste has not been right since September. Cher Marie says, I even lost the sense of smell and taste with RSV.
That's interesting.
200 symptoms, including debilitating fatigue, brain fog, shortness of breath, pain. I have pain, sleep disturbances, anxiety, and depression. We had family members who dealt with anxiety as a result of this. I wonder how that is. Joint pain, muscle weakness, stomach, intestinal symptoms, diarrhea, psychological effects, mood swings. I know you've been suffering from that. Sensory sensory.
We're going to go.
You want to? All right. You want to go?
Turn the cameras off.
You want to go? Let's go. Sensory changes, smell, taste. I mean, a lot of stuff. So, I don't know, but our 9-year-old daughter, has been suffering. She's had this cough, like this persistent cough since the fall. Like it's really been bothering me. And we're trying to get to the bottom of that. And who knows if that's tied to this or not. But
Yes.
You can imagine how insurance companies are going to try to wrap their heads around this.
Yeah.
They already rip people off left and right anyway. So it's going to be interesting to see how they try to rip people off from here.
You know, a friend of mine, she runs conferences for doctors, and she was telling me about a seminar that she just went to that talked about how, because of climate change, allergens are in the air more because plants are suffering, so they are releasing their allergens at a stronger rate, and so people who have allergies are suffering worse and worse. So the spring is coming, and it's interesting because if you are still wearing a mask outside, your allergies are probably a bit better. But if you are suffering from long COVID, the mask is actually not necessarily good for you. And there's no, like at this point, the world cannot take into account special circumstances, especially like I've said, my daughter, I've asked, can she not wear a mask if she's already recovered from COVID and seems to be suffering? And then they said yes, but she would have to wear a full face shield. And I don't know if that's any better for her. I don't know the data about it. And I also just don't know if she's 9 and if that's going to make her self-conscious, or should I just wait it out? I'm not at all clear on this.
Yeah, this whole discussion about masks, the New Jersey governor this morning is considering getting rid of mask mandates in schools. Hallelujah. So, I think maybe we're starting to move towards this. But again, I don't know the difference with that stupid mask, that face shield thing, if that's any better. Like this, is that any better than wearing a cotton mask on your face?
Well, there could be some airflow in, right? So she could at least breathe deeper than...
To me, it's all for show. I mean, that's what I'm worried about right now. It's just like one part of a dog and pony show, to me.
Right.
Well,
shouldn't recovered children not have to wear a mask if they're already recovered? Wouldn't that, I mean, here in Europe, this recovery certificate is like gold. It's like a get out of jail free card. Gosh, I have long COVID because I can't speak words.
And the mood swings.
But you can taste everything.
I hear you.
But you
I can hear you.
But you can taste everything.
Yes, I can.
With your sophisticated palate.
Also, I can win in a spar with my husband if you'd like to see this.
Oh, yeah?
You want to go another round?
If you like this content, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Also, we have a membership program. For the price of a cup of coffee once a month, you can support independent journalism just by going to morninginvest.com/join.
You get access to exclusive videos, plus the ability to join and chat with us live. We really appreciate your subscription, and you are supporting independent journalism.